I haven't done this for a couple weeks maybe, I don't know. My shiny nose and my giant face here. I'm going to read this just to see how it sounded. I lack profundity and focus. I am not focused. I am not profound. I creak when I walk. My feet hurt as my joints deteriorate with arthritis. I've had 4 surgeries on broken things by 4 different orthopedic surgeons. So many and so popular are my conditions that the surgeons specialize on specific body parts. I imagine their education, years in school, top-notch schools with the brightest and best students, getting a broad range of information and skills, and spending 40 years standing in a spot operating on the same joint in thousands of bodies day after day. I just do knees. The knees are not the problem. They can be replaced completely if the repair doesn't hold. The feet are the issue. So many joints to fail, and the weight of my body on these failing connections wears them more with each step I take. I've had a handful of bone spurs removed from my feet. The scars are depressions, ditches along my feet. I'm wearing orthotics and deck shoes. Endless summer, beach boys. Bone spurs are the body's reaction to a failed joint. Trying to grow a bone to fill in. Trying to grow bone to fill in. Hold steady a joint that has been worn flat, made loose and useless by its deterioration. They are jagged-ass, sharp stones growing from the bones that do nothing but remind me that evolution is an imperfect process. The surgeons opened my feet and ground these down with a Dremel, a tool like I have in my garage, a small grinding stone stuck on the end of this thing a person can hold in one hand. A few seconds of touching this to the spur and it disappears in smoke and dust. Van Morrison old and irrelevant. Van Dyke Park's forgotten. The hooker in Breakfast at Tiffany's transformed to sad class. James Taylor bald with an old man's gummy voice. Vonnegut, a dead hero hardly imagined the way he was before. Kerouac, all but forgotten, and when remembered, it is as a footnote to some movement with 3 or 4 phrases used to control it. When we were young, when they were young. How did we know them young? How did we know them when we were young? How were they discovered? Against what reality were they laid and dissected? Why does the Kingston Trio sound like background music in a laxative commercial on TV? When did they stop meaning the civil rights movement, the end of the Vietnam War? My youthful shout against the world is now my head up my ass. I remember when Dick Cavett would have a rock star on his show and he'd wear a turtleneck with his jacket. Mary Travers, hot as hell with that beautiful hair she flipped as she sang, standing with Dr. King, became a rasping fat woman with an oxygen tube clipped to her nose, sitting squat in a chair, legs spread to give her belly a place to fall. The only ones who are pretty and escape decay are those who died young. They became perfect and too young for me, loving a page from an ad in an old magazine. Becoming yet again something I did not want to be. I don't think I want to write about sitting someplace, having figured out my life, and discovering the things I don't like were set up in the past, and that now it's too late to change them. I don't think I want to, but that's probably what I'll do. I've not, in nearly 60 years, developed enough of a sense of hope to expect that things will get better, arrive at a complete place, and stay there. I don't think I need to protect anyone in my life with that lie. I think it accomplishes exactly the opposite. If I give them a lie and hold it up as the truth against all common sense, that I become not just a liar, but a delusional liar. I risk passing into a greater truth, arriving at a place where all is symbol. Nothing I speak of is about what I say. It's all symbol and image. Coffee becomes comfort. Losing a job is a story of a wonderful change. A cat is not a cat, but a dead parent. A walk is not a walk, it's a fundraiser to bring back a friend who died from cancer so long ago. You've all but forgotten his voice. You knew him such a short time, and his family have grown and are gone. He stayed with you. We meet and measure our lives in scars, surgeries, correcting nature's jokes and our bad decisions in the past. I grow old, I grow old. I wear the bottoms of my trousers rolled. Are the buildings across the street where I sit in a coffee shop the mountains breaking the horizon, hiding the horizon? Do they hide the beach? There is no excitement in wanting to know this. I will leave the question stand. I pass into asymmetry. My sides no longer match. My sides no longer match. My left knee won't bend enough to cross my legs, and my right bends well enough, but protest and sharp pain have turned even slightly a particular way. I stand and start to walk on my left foot as my right needs to come down softly to see if the bones have aligned against those failed joints in such a way to pinch a nerve, some flash, and shoot pain across my foot. I rest it softly on the floor and press all parts into the least painful alignment and raise my left foot, rocking back on my right heel, which I feel one day will protest at the overload and break as well. I now have left and right parts to my body, individual fingers and toes that have separate identities. My eyes decided to focus in different ways. I squint asymmetrically, closing one eye and squeezing the other down to read the date on a found penny to see if I am lucky that I have found one from the year of my birth. I calculate backward, imagining if my uncle had said it to me when I was a kid in 1960, and he were as old as I am now, he'd be hoping to find a penny from around 1900. I'd imagine as a kid that those pennies had long ago worn out, been lost or collected to fill a card made to hold old coins in order by date. All the things I rushed past to get to, the next thing stay in the past uncollected. If I talk to the pretty girl now, a proxy for the one I did not approach at 20, I am an old man who does not know how he looks to her, and I fail in that I have violated the trust of old men to protect and treasure that which they have lost and should not take in a raid. The Panther, Rainer Maria Rilke. His gaze goes past those bars, becoming tired, holding nothing more. It is as if there were 1,000 bars, and behind 1,000 bars no world. The powerful soft strides are bound, he twists in cramped circles, a ritual dance around the center, the great will stunned by repetition. The curtain of the pupils sometimes slipped, and an image enters, rushing down through the tense silence, teasing the heart to act when it can't. Now it's time to write in story form, moving from one fact to another. I knew a girl who doused herself with gasoline and set herself on fire, dying in the conflagration. So Endicott was her name. A pretty and kind woman, overcome with whatever her life had become. I was the personnel manager in a store, and she worked there, a pretty woman, maybe 35. I called her a girl due to her fragile affect. Al David and I tried to save her as best we could. We asked her into an office, and she was troubled, and talked to her. I suggested where she could go to get help. I said her job was safe and that we cared for her and wanted her to get better. Al was a manager, a former gymnastics coach. His parents left Greece after World War II. His extended family, his grandparents being some of the last Jews Hitler got to kill. He wore his wedding ring on his right hand, as Greeks do. His wife taught me to dance for my wedding. Al and I were both upset when Sue killed herself, but we could not console each other. We both had punched death in the face for years and knew it did not yield.